The opinions expressed in this show belong to the person expressing them. They do not purport to reflect the opinions or views of Rancher or any other entity. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Coffee and Cloud Native, the show that shares news and interesting content related to stuff like Kubernetes, Cloud Native, and other nifty technology. My name is Adrian Goins, and I am stoked to be here with you today. If you're watching live, consider following or subscribing to the channel, and if you're watching in the future, please give the video a thumbs up so the YouTube algorithm shares it with other people. Join the free community site, join the Discord server, links to that are in the video description or scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Live chat happens in Discord with a bot that relays between YouTube and Twitch, so come hang out with us either during the show or after. And as you'll see in a minute, well, the chat's where all the crazy stuff happens. Who do we got here today? We have lots of people here today. Jaco, Bala. Oh, apparently YouTube's grumbly this morning. Let me open my, oh, it says quality marginal. Oh, okay, that's, hang on. Oh, it's getting, oh, no, it's not getting better. It looks like it's going to creep up to getting better. Okay, we're just going to move on. Well, crap. I have this little graph over here that tells me interesting things like orange is a bad color. Mediocre. Thank you, WifeBot. Okay, what can I do about this? It was fine when I was doing the bandwidth check before. Let me just drop the program bitrate slightly and see if that's enough to make it happy. So let's be safe. I don't know what that just did. Okay, moving on. If it continues to be sucky, well, let's just hope that it doesn't. I was going to say hi to a bunch of people, but instead I told you that the internet sucks, so we don't really have time to say hi to people today. But hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. The show that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't, because you know what? It's the internet. But at least it's not Slack. Otherwise, we wouldn't be online at all. I've totally lost my beat. Today's Wednesday. And on Wednesdays, we do that. Continuous inspiration is when we look inward and share stuff from the CNCN community. Either new members who have created a bio for themselves, or content created by community members. Today, we have Chaim. Hello. I don't even know if he's watching, but I know he watches, I don't know if he watches live. But if you're watching live, hello. Chaim approached me last week and wanted to show an app that he had created. I took a look at it. I thought it was cool. I asked him to create a post in the community site, which he did, which I'll share with you in a second. As it says here in his bio, he is a DevOps engineer. He has more than 15 years of experience. He is from Tel Aviv in Israel. And currently, what is he currently doing? He's the tech lead responsible for DevOps culture at the company. But he created this app called Anyface. You can go to the community site, you can read about it, or you can just go to anyface.io. And when WifeBot and I are watching movies, we frequently joke about how for every... Oh, looks like the internet's green again. How for every expensive actor, there's like a lower cost lookalike. And I can't remember all of them, but the one that we've run into most recently is from the movie Ready or Not. There's the girl who's Hugo Weaving's niece or something like that. I forget her name. Anyway, she looks like Margot Robbie, so we just call her fake Margot Robbie. Well, Anyface is an app that you can use. You can upload your face, and it will introduce you to, it's like social networking for people who look like you, or for celebrities who look like you, and you can do stuff with it. He created this. It's pretty cool. It's a good use of machine learning. And yeah, so he's in the community. So if you check that out, if you have questions, you know, say hello to Chaim, and yeah, ask him anything you want, even if it's not about his app. And now let's move on to the meat of today's show. The collector bots have gathered candidates for the show, and Trufflebot has scored them from 1 to 5 coffees, corresponding to a 75 to 100% probability of being interesting content. He'll post them one at a time in Discord. I'll load them up. Anyone watching live can rate them in the live voting channel in Discord. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube and Twitch, I realize that what he pastes to YouTube and Twitch doesn't get translated into emojis. Sorry, I'll fix that. Not so you get emojis, but at least so it looks less crappy. Anyway, after everything is done, the final scores are shown when we move to the next item. I don't actually know if that gets posted to YouTube or Twitch. I'll look at that as well. It's all changing every single day. And then the total rating for all items shown on the show is used to rate the show itself. After each show, your votes are used to train the machine learning model that chooses content for the show. Those of you who've joined recently, you may not be aware that the collector bots gather thousands of things a day, and then there's a machine learning model that's been trained on what I like and what the community likes, and that actually filters out the stuff that ends up on the show the next day. I do a final screening on it just to make sure that we're not doing repeat content and stuff, but for the most part, if it says it's good, I agree with it. And then we talk about it. And sometimes I put something up and then people are like, boo, but not very often, in which case the model gets trained, boo, and we don't do that again. First up today, we have, put my stylus down. We have, I'm gonna jump over to the live voting channel, and, whoa, AB-Nexty, that's not a command. Trufflebot's like, I don't know what that is. Let's see, what's Trufflebot's excuse for not knowing that command? Oh, the sticky bit came loose. I hate when that happens. First up, we have an article from Alside, from Godino. Sorry if I said that wrong. I do my best to pronounce Israeli names correctly, you know, getting that in there for the H's and stuff, but, you know, I'll try. Anyway, Godino wrote an article about Kubernetes RBAC, and this is not a new article, but RBAC is a challenge. RBAC is complicated, and the more complicated something is, the more likely people are to either not use it or to just be overly permissive. And that's exactly what he talks about in this article. Kubernetes did a good job of making sure that there are solid default RBAC rules in place so that just activating RBAC in the cluster becomes a no-brainer. But it's important to learn and practice properly using RBAC. So Gotti wrote this article, and he points out that in Kubernetes RBAC, their permissions are additive. You see I have that highlighted there. So you've got like a default deny, and then you add permissions there. There's no deny rules. He continues to talk about how RBAC works. So if you're not familiar with that, or if you want a deeper understanding of it, you can go there. But let's just scroll past that. The Kubernetes RBAC additive model, again, I'm reading here, does not enable us to implement semantics that capture denying access to specific resource groups or allowing access to all other resources. But we can fake that. And ultimately, the point of this article is to introduce you to a tool that they wrote called RBAC tool, that Kubernetes RBAC Power Toys, visualize, generate, and query. This will give you a better view into the RBAC configuration of your cluster, a better understanding of what's going on, and hopefully make you more comfortable with making changes and just implementing a solid, stable RBAC environment in your cluster. It's going to be one of those things where once you get over that hump of, and you get to the part where it's like, wow, this is actually really cool, then it's going to become addictive, and you're going to want to RBAC the hell out of everything. The community gave that 4 coffees. I gave it 5 coffees. And that's for those of you who are watching on YouTube and Twitch. Let's see, did it? Yeah, so it looks like that does not get posted back to YouTube. I'm watching the garbage go out. Anyway, sorry. We'll get there. We'll get there. Hetzner Cloud. I'm only on my 2nd coffee, but they were really strong coffees today. Hetzner Cloud. Some of you use it. A lot of you who watch it this early in the morning are in Europe, and I've heard only good things about it. This is an article on how to have small font. This is an article on how to set up a Kubernetes environment in Hetzner Cloud using Terraform. And Hetzner has some unique attributes. Some might call them features. Some might call them drawbacks. This article addresses them. And it's actually out of this article, Steve Jaguar, who I know is watching, that I learned about Cilium 1.9, which is the latest version of Cilium, has a feature called Host Firewall. So if you are running Kubernetes in one of those cloud providers like Hetzner, who gives you public IP addresses but does not give you network policies, you don't have to run UFW or whatever the equivalent is for the Red Hat family of stuff. You don't have to do any of that. Just from within your Kubernetes cluster with Cilium, you can firewall your host, which is so smart, so obvious. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, of course, why not? So Cilium does that, and the article continues to talk about using Terraform and deploying stuff in Hetzner and deploying Kubernetes and the changes you have to make to use their cool little load balancer thing and all sorts of other stuff. So if you're a Hetzner fan, or if you're considering being a Hetzner fan, check this out. As for whether it's probably the cheapest Kubernetes cluster for now, I'm not 100% sold on that. I went and looked at their node pricing. It's not the cheapest, but I have heard really good things about the reliability of Hetzner. There you go. The community gave that 4 coffees as well. The next item is for those of you who have been looking at Longhorn and OpenEBS. And this is about deploying Percona with OpenEBS local storage. The Percona part of it is not actually what I'm interested in sharing with you. What I'm interested in sharing with you is the person who wrote it correctly identified that using what's the default thing? Host path, or the other thing they came up with, local path or local. Basically, the things that allow you to just provision storage directly on the Kubernetes node, both of which are not awesome. Host path actually is bad because your workload can move somewhere else that doesn't have the volume. So they came up with the second one, whose name I just for some reason can't remember. That will at least bind it to the same node. But then if the node goes away, you're still screwed. Anyway, if you're in a position where that's really all you have, OpenEBS allows you to do the same thing with dynamic volume provisioning. Basically, they give you a storage class so that you can say, give me some local storage, and it provisions local storage for you somewhere and then returns that and then assigns your node to, or your workload to that node. However, the person who wrote this said that OpenEBS is the only thing that does that, and that's not actually true. If you are using K3S, you already have this. K3S ships with, I'm gonna have to find one of my K3S terminals here. There, that one will work. It ships with a local path. It's called local path, right? Pretty sure. Even a demonstration. It ships with a storage class. Yeah, there you go. Ships with a storage class called local path. And what this allows, I mean, remember that K3S is designed for resource-constrained environments like IoT and the edge. So if you just want some dynamic volume provisioning, you've got a one-node cluster sitting out there somewhere, but you don't want to have to specifically request actual or make PVs. You want to use storage classes. You've got this already. So whether you're using it for databases, for edge environments, or for anything else at all, storage class, dynamic volume provisioning, OpenEBS, or in K3S. Good to go. Community gave that 4 coffees. Ooh, this next one is cool. This next one is cool. A lot of you listen to podcasts. Some of you, like Dan Pop, create podcasts. I've considered turning the audio of this into a podcast, but I think I would have to consciously talk differently about the stuff I'm talking about, so that if people were only listening, they'd have additional context. Anyway, I don't know. So this person was just sitting there and was like, you know what? I really wish I had podcasts to listen to, but I don't really want to install all these different podcast apps that do all this other stuff. I just want to listen to podcasts, and I'd like to make this service available for people for free. And I'd like to make it anonymous, and I'd like to make it serverless, and I'd like to make it not use a database, and I'd like to make it secure. And with that list of constraints, I'm going to go build something. And what this person built is a single-page HTML app that uses the local environment in your browser via peer-to-peer networking and IPFS to generate a list of podcasts. And it's completely anonymized. You can either use his service called Tailored Flow. It'll take a second for this to populate. You can either use this directly, or you can go and get the single page app and just host it yourself, because everything happens over P2P in your browser. And all you need is an RSS feed for podcasts. And Dan, I'm sorry, I went and looked for where to get an RSS feed for your podcast so that I could use it in the demo, and I couldn't find it anywhere that didn't want me to go and make an account. So I'm not going to be able to demo that. But yeah, you could just have this open in the background and add your own podcasts. You can share podcasts between people. There we go. We got some stuff. So it's pretty neat. I like that it solves a problem. I like that it's designed to be secure. I like that it's designed to not be bloatware. And there you go. I like that it all runs in the browser. Oh, you all liked that. You get that 5 coffees. There's just, like, what's not to like? It even has the little Shiba Inu from Dogecoin. Why did I put this up? Kubernetes service monitoring and observability. Let's see. I know why I put this up. How many of you have been using the new Bonsai Cloud logging operator inside of Rancher? It's great. The Bonsai Cloud logging operator is just great. Let's see if I can quickly find that as a link. Bonsai Cloud logging operator. No, but I can find my Google search for it. Logging operator, Bonsai Cloud. It's got a great image, so it's worth showing. No, but their image isn't big enough. Okay, so basically the way that this works is it's all CRD based. It uses FluentD and FluentBit, and you create things that basically you plug together to take input from some arbitrary source, do some massaging of it with some arbitrary rule set, and then output it to some arbitrary destination. And then you plug all of these things together and you get magic. It's awesome, and with awesome comes it's challenging. And so this article over here, through the auspices of talking about service monitoring and observability, actually tells you exactly how to set it up. First of all, they say, hey, let's go launch Linkerd because it's a service mesh and it's like stupid simple to launch and run and it's fast. So boom, done, Linkerd, let's move on. Logging operator, let's go install that, boom, done. What do you use for a logging destination? That's a problem that I've encountered where I'm like, okay, I want to use the logging operator, but I'm like, ugh, where do I send my logs? Like, I want the easy button for things. I want to get past the and onto the actual goodness that comes from the using of it. Those of you who do operations understand exactly what I mean by, you know. Well, Loki, I'd totally forgotten about, is from Grafana, and it's basically Grafana for logs. So, well, let's just ship our logs there. So boom, great. Now I'm going to be able to go and deploy Loki, and he uses Customize to patch the Grafana installation from Linkerd, which I don't need to do, but that's cool. And then shows you how to set up the cluster output, the logging, and the flow. And at the end of this, you have Grafana mapped log beautifulness. So, cool. Whether you use Linkerd or not. Captain Justin says he's enjoyed using Loki. And Jaco says ditto. I like articles that are that are tutorials that aren't just, you know, the copy and paste of, oh, some of you probably saw a few weeks ago, I found somebody who created a tutorial where literally they copied their shell history and just pasted it into a Medium article. No commentary, no nothing else, all of the mistakes, all of it. It was terrible. So I like tutorials that not only show you how to do something, but they also give you some background information on why decisions were made and are pluggable enough that you can fit them into your own environment instead of just building a demonstration application that you can't really use in production. Next up, what did you guys give that last one? Oh, y'all gave that 5 coffees. No, I did. You gave it 4 coffees. Sometimes I can't tell the difference between Adrian and community when it's written. The 2 words are so similar. This is part 2 of a 2-part article. Part 1 was released on the same day, January 4th, 2 days ago. And he talks about how to set up a CI/CD pipeline to deploy a web service written in Deno using GitHub Actions and Terraform Cloud. That's a cool combination of things that I haven't seen before. Terraform Cloud is, well, it's Terraform in the cloud, allowing you to do sharing of stuff across your team. If you're just a single individual, you probably don't need it, but if you're a group of people or an organization who's using Terraform, you might need it. You can also look at Env0, who also does Terraform as a service. And then this explains, you know, how GitHub Actions work and creating a new workflow and so on and so forth. The idea being that we're going to deploy an app into Google Cloud Run. Part 1 shows you how to set up that environment. Part 2 shows you how to deploy it. And this is another thing like the previous one that gives you lots of information about why, as well as how, and then leaves you with something that actually works and is useful. Now, this by itself is interesting, but if you notice up at the top, I highlighted written in Deno. I'm not going to tell you why yet. You all gave that 4 coffees. And the next item is from Tech World with Nana. If you don't know these are videos and articles that explain complicated technology things in easy to understand bite-sized pieces. For those of you who watch the show, they may not be a good fit because you may not need things spoon-fed to you in easy to understand bite-sized pieces. But all of us interact with people who do. Whether it's somebody just getting started, learning about a piece of technology, or if you're talking to your mom and trying to explain what you do, or if you're trying to sell your boss on some new technology idea that you know is I was making up words yesterday, the cat's pajamas. Wifebot was laughing at me after the show yesterday for totally going off the rails with that one. These are a good resource. So I haven't had them specifically on the show before. This one is about explaining service mesh and Istio. And you can watch the video, but it's like, here's a world that sucks. Here's a world that's better. Here's how Istio helps you arrive at that world. Here's the way that it does that. The end. There's so many things that I like. I like things that help me directly solve problems. And I like things that help other people understand what it is that we do, because we're straight up wizards. We're like Wifebot always calls what I do wizardry. She either refers to it as wizardry or gibberish. Because I'll come into her room and I'm like, blah, 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 blah. She's like, I do not understand you. You speak the gibberish. Oh. Okay, last one before we move on to the next segment is last month, the 3rd weekly challenge for the month of December was to go off and implement Falco. And then we all went on vacation for Christmas, and I didn't implement Falco. I mean, I already had it running, but I didn't do anything else with it. So I don't want that to just get, cast off at the end of the year, because Falco is extremely valuable and I think a great tool to run in your Kubernetes clusters. If you are running in EKS, you can still use Falco. And it talks about why and how and what and setting up the cluster. Because, okay, one thing I don't like is I don't like finding articles that start with Kubernetes is important and then like explaining what Kubernetes is. Like, we all get it. We get it. Kubernetes is important. That's why we do this. So setting up an EKS cluster, scroll. And then setting up Falco and how to actually get started using it in EKS, including, oh, what a great idea, simulating and testing. Because what's the point of security if you don't know that it actually works? It just makes you feel better until you get owned, and then you don't feel better anymore. So there you go. This is a really long article from AWS, Falco, EKS, and honestly, you could just take the Falco part of it and apply it to any other Kubernetes cluster. All right, community gave that 5 coffees, and today's show had an average rating of 4 coffees. That seems to be what we get. In fact, I probably want to just go back and make sure that Trufflebot doesn't just have that defaulted to 4. We all give everything 1 coffee, and Trufflebot's like, everybody loved it! Yesterday I forgot the tool of the day jingle. Thank you to all of you who pointed it out. I didn't see it until like the middle of the day. Today's tool of the day. Can you guess? Can you guess what it is? I should probably load it up. Today's tool of the day is Deno. Swear on my mom's service mesh that this was already in the list of stuff for tool of the day and had already been selected for today's show by the bots. And the other article talking about deploying a Deno application came up. Like, totally synchronicity-ness. Deno is a secure runtime for JavaScript and TypeScript. And for those of you who don't like JavaScript, please don't like downvote this because this is actually super cool. Secure by default, no file, network, or environment access unless explicitly enabled. Ships as a single executable file, has built-in utilities like a dependency inspector and so on and so forth. Dead simple to install. It's like a 15 meg binary, but then it does some really great stuff. So secure, fantastic. Unless specifically allowed, can't access files. Okay, we already talked about that. It's browser compatible. Does not use NPM. How many of you have ever tried to deploy an NPM, a program that uses NPM and like node modules? It's like, it's terrible. Deploying node apps in containers is just gross. Use ES modules. Okay, so remote code is fetched and cached on first execution and never updated unless the code is run with the -- reload flag. So the first time it pulls it down from anywhere, modules and files are loaded from remote URLs and they're intended to be immutable and cacheable. So the first time you load something, it fetches it and then caches it, and then every time you run it after that, it's just cached and running locally. Beyond that, you can build all your stuff. You can use Wasm, you can use TypeScript, it's super, super, super secure, and I think a great way to run JavaScript applications. I build all of my stuff in Python because that's my go-to language, because it's just what I know, but my next language that I code most often in is JavaScript because I do a lot of stuff with Node-RED, so I have a fair understanding of basic JavaScript functionality. And seeing something like this that would allow me to use JavaScripty stuff for shell scripting or scripting on the host is of tremendous interest. Otherwise, I can show you like a really simple demo of it. That's just their hello world thing, which is basically you do Deno run and then you point it at something, and well, their hello world says welcome to Deno. In very, very small font. It's got a little brontosaurus there, or a diplodocus or something. It's got a dinosaur. I don't think the emoji are so really on top of it that they have different emoji for Stegosaurus, Brontosaurus, Diplodocus, Tyrannosaurus. Rah. So that's Deno, the secure runtime environment for JavaScript. And now, you know what that means? It means I have to vote on it. then we have to end the Tool of the Day segment. And then we have to go. Well, that's it. That's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Links to everything that I talk about on the show go up in the free community site at community.cncn.io after the show ends. Come join us. Community members get early access to the links, video replay, and other exclusive content. It's totally free to join, and the community is growing every day. If you have something you'd like me to consider for the show, post it in the show suggestions channel, post it on the community site, ping me on Discord or Twitter. Just make sure that I actually respond so that you know that I saw it. Because I don't have that whole process automated yet, and I, not being an actual robot, I just play one on the internet, suck at doing things the same way lots of times over and over again. Anyway, that's it. Thank you. Have a great day. Keep learning. I will see you in the next show. I'm going to go drink more coffee. And so should you. Stay caffeinative.